Hello and welcome to the latest installment of a discussion. I am once again joined by Anton, and we're here to discuss a week that I don't think could have gone any better for Burton Albion. Anton, how are you?
Good afternoon, Jack. Good, thanks. Yourself?
Not bad, thank you. And as I mentioned, a pretty incredible week, one that I don't even think we predicted coming. A win against top of the league Peterborough, and then an away win against Wimbledon. It's been a massive week for us.
Yeah, not just in terms of our results. The majority of the results have also seemed to have gone in our favour as well. But again, it continues to enable us to build a platform for certainly survival. And then there's obviously a few rumours on social media of people putting bets on the top half finishes and even playoff finishes. So just amazing again how people's perceptions of how things change so quickly, from being so negative to so positive. But no, there seems to be a good buzz around not just the football club, but also around social media and the fans as well at the minute.
And we started it off with that, then in good form anyway. Peterborough visit the Priley, who are top of the league and better the best form team in the league at that moment in time, and they didn't really get looking. We got 2-1 win. It was, I think, as comfortable a game as we've had under Jimmy and Dino, to be honest. There was times where you could see their quality, definitely, but I think both fullbacks, John Brayford and Tom Hamer, had really good games. They kept their wingers quiet. Johnson Clark-Harris up front, he didn't really get a sniff. And at the end of the day, their goal has come from, maybe it's just one person switching off with a couple of seconds left in the game. But it was a really, really good performance.
Yeah, I think the one big thing I think we've all said since Jimmy and Dino have come in, that the nullifying of the opponent's chances, say the ratios of shots on goal and to goals has dropped down dramatically, which helps the goalkeeper out. But we've said it isn't just about the defenders; it's about defending from the front, and we've defended really well as a team. The amount of clean sheets we've kept. I know we didn't keep a clean sheet against Peterborough, as you say. Probably switched off for a couple of seconds, but we're defending as a team from the front, and we're nullifying the opportunities from the get-go, rather than waiting for the ball to get to us and then defend it with the defenders. We're actually defending it or trying to defend it from our attacking point of view, and trying to win the ball back as high up as we can up the pitch. Which again, we've seen that, and we've hurt teams when we've countered with it as well. So it's a massive change in the way we've played. I think in the past, before Jimmy came in, we were 20 yards further back, and we were kind of waiting for teams to come onto us and then kind of pressed and countered. Now we're kind of taking the game to others. We're pressing high, we're keeping compact, and that's made a massive turnaround that has happened. I think it's because of that.
And another thing that has been really impressive for me is that we've converted when chances come our way, which when you're playing teams like Peterborough, as we've said, in incredible form at the time, they were top of the league. They looked like they were the team to beat in the league. And when the chances drop your way, you've got to convert them. And I think that's something that we've really improved on. And we kind of saw that in the Wimbledon game. I mean, we had one shot on target, and we've scored it. And okay, we need to create more, I think, from open play. But at the moment, when you're being clinical, it kind of, when you're in a bit of a wobble, or you're maybe not having the best game, it's just there to kind of push you along. We saw that against Wimbledon, especially, as I said, but against Peterborough, I mean, we've spoken about how much work we think has been done on set pieces previously, and it really paid dividends. Two goals, and exactly what you want to see, really.
Yeah, I think the set pieces are a major kind of extra arm in the armory, with that long throw in particularly. The corners as well. You look at how many different routines we've got from corners. Obviously, that's really aided us in a few goals. But also, you've got an ex-international world-class striker in your ranks. So even though that defensively is probably our biggest kind of improvement, having that kind of experience in the back room, obviously, and also in Dino as well, who also was a striker. The strikers are only going to kind of improve and get better from their experiences as well. So, you would expect us to be more clinical, which we are. But we are chipping in now with more goals from other areas of the pitch. Our biggest threat is unarguably on the right-hand side with Johnny Smith at the minute. Obviously, we brought Fondop in, who seems to be that kind of old hustle and bustle striker that brings other people into play, as we saw last night from a set piece with Michael Bostwick mopping up the pieces to get in at the end of it. But, we're seeing against teams against Rochdale where with that long throw where Bostwick's nodded it on for Kane to score from 6 yards out. So it's the type of different goals that we're starting to score. Headers from set pieces, little tap in from 6 yards out, curled shots on the edge of the box, all different ones. And rather than out and out chances, we're creating chances from something and nothing as well. But, the set piece has been a major key in that. And it's really good to see. It's exciting. The ball's 20 yards out we know that Hamer's going to kind of stick it in. I think that's one of the biggest things that's probably kept him in the side as well. I think he's really looked at home at left back since obviously coming in for the suspended Josh Earl. But the 2 games that Josh had been back, obviously we've decided to go with Hamer still at left back. But I think, it's possibly a lot of it to do with the problems that we're causing with that long throw when we can. So, yeah, it's a massive turnaround. It's certainly a massive plus for us.
And you mentioned also Johnny Smith, who I'm really, to be honest, I'm running out of words to describe his performances that he's been putting in for us. I mean, I think we'll be generous and kind of credit him the assist for Kane's goal against Peterborough. But, we've said it's about converting that chance when it drops your way, cuts inside, gets across, kind of cross/shot off, causes problems for the defence, causes problems for the keeper. Keeper spills it and Kane's there, as you said, 6 yards out, taps it in, and I think I could see why Peterborough would be disappointed. It's a really cheap goal to give away. But one thing that we're really improving on is kind of just picking up when the opposition make little mistakes now, and we're really, at the moment, with our form that we're in, we're being clinical in punishing them for those making those mistakes.
Yeah, when you press the ball and win it back so high up the pitch, there's less to do with it, if that makes sense. You've got less kind of space to operate or time to get towards the goal. So you can kind of kill and go at them really, really quickly. There were people like Johnny Smith, who is really direct in his way of playing. Again, I say it when I say direct, I don't mean the old-fashioned plan B of lump it forward, big man in the box and that way. I mean direct as in he runs direct and he wants to run towards goal and make a chance or certainly a cross early doors. But the biggest thing I think for me with Johnny Smith isn't everyone, there's a lot of people compared him, I think, to Nasser El Kayati, who obviously played on the left-hand side when he was with us and cut in and obviously did his magic on the right. The one thing that Johnny Smith has got that Nasser didn't is his defensive abilities. I tell you what, in the last 3-4 games, Johnny Smith has come and helped out with us playing so narrow defensively, the two wingers as such. But Johnny Smith, his defensive work's been outstanding. And, I think that goes a little bit unnoticed. Everyone always raves about how he goes forward in scoring goals or creating opportunities. But his defensive work and his work rate has been incredible the last few games. And what I find he has been for a small nominal fee, as it was reported. So hopefully we've got 2.5 years minimum of him as well. If not 2.5 years, then hopefully we'll make a bit of money and reinvest us. But, let's enjoy it while we've got it.
Yeah, and he looks like a really, a really good player so far. As is, the stats don't lie at the end of the day, and he's, chipped in with goals, chipped in with assists, and his overall play, as you said, has just been really kind of important. It kind of suits the way that we're playing at the moment. Is so fast. It's there was in the Wimbledon game, knocked it past 2-3 players and beat them all for pace, and it was, when you've got pace, it looks like a good dribbler. He cuts inside, can go either way, and he tracks back. Is a perfect fit for the way that we're playing.
Yeah, Jimmy's been really, really smart in his recruitment, hasn't he? I think we spoke about it before. He's dropped the age of the squad. The defenders now, I don't think there's one under 6 foot. I think that also transitions into the midfield. where again we're a big side now. Obviously, also then the addition of Michael Fondop, as we've seen last night, big gangly striker, holds the ball up. Probably technically not the best gifted at the moment, but something obviously again through Jimmy's experience of him being a world class striker in the past, he's only going to get better at. But throughout the squad, we have added pace, we've added height. You know, all these things that we probably missed out on before, or we didn't have before. Jimmy's been really, really smart in his recruitment, and that's obviously paying dividends no end all over the pitch.
Another player that we recruited was Tom Hamer. We've kind of touched on it, but it wasn't his long throwing that saw us get the second at Peterborough, but still saw him kind of proving a threat from the set piece, heading it back across the face of goal, and then we just kind of, not the most pretty goal, but kind of Hayden Carter, I think, got the credit in the end, kind of bundling it over the line. But in a way, they're the kind of goals you need to score, if you will, because, like, you know, Peterborough, we said many times already, we're a good team, are a good team. So when you get those chances falling your way, you got to make the most. And whether it's a half chance, whether it's, you know, as it was, your centre back kind of with a awkward volley from 6-7 yards out, but you make the most of them, and that put us 2-0 ahead then, and you know we looked comfortable for the rest of the game. But from that point onwards, I don't really think it looked like slipping, to be honest. Maybe that was the odd panicky moment when they scored in the 95th, but we looked cool, calm, and collected, and kind of seeing that game out against top of the league.
Yeah, two-part kind of answer to that. Goal's a goal, however it's scored. I know everyone goes on about world-class goals and worldies, and they get played over and over again. But, you know, you also got to scrap in around the 6-yard box. And I think probably over the last 15 years, that's one thing that Burton Albion have never really had, is many players that are like foxes in the boxes, and so probably since Darryl Clare kind of era. But now when you get in defenders who are coming up for set pieces that are doing it, it's absolutely fantastic. As we say, we're not reliant, but we're a lot better now at set pieces with our aerial presence. So we're now starting to chip in with more goals from all around the pitch, which is absolutely great to see. And the defence has got. I know we've talked about we're defending high up the pitch, and everybody kind of takes a mantle, but Michael Bostwick for me and Hayden Carter have performed a miracle in that back line. They seem so calm, they seem resolute. Nothing seems to get to them. Again, they're both scoring goals. You know, it's kind of the backbone of where this team is at the minute. You know, Michael Bostwick was out for the count probably for most people in terms of the squad. Most people would have thought he would probably either get moved on in January or certainly wouldn't feature. But obviously, John Joe getting injured gave him another chance, and he's been probably this. He looks more like the signing I think a lot of people would have expected when he did sign last year, obviously for Jake. So, Hayden, as I said before, Hayden Carter for me is a step up from Sam Hughes. So almost a blessing in disguise that we found him and got hold of him. But Michael Bostwick for me has been absolutely fantastic and really pivotal to our changing of our fortune at the minute.
And I think it's fair to say all of the back four, back five, if you want to include Ben Garrett in that. And, you know, when you're keeping clean sheets like that, you've always, you know, as we've said, you press as a team, defend as a team. But at the end of the day, if they break the press, it's the defense that's there to kind of pick up the pieces. And that's what they made look so simple, I think, is especially with Carter and Bostwick kind of in the middle. One of them steps out and immediately we've won the ball back from, you know, whether it's just an overhit pass through the middle, they're trying to go a bit more direct. You know, we kind of finding ways to just kind of slowly pick the opposition's play style apart, and in turn, despite the fact that we don't normally have too much possession, we kind of then have control over the game, and we can decide what we want to happen from that position, if you know what I mean. And
yeah, they seem to know which one wants to come and head it or win the ball, and then which one then's going to sit in on any phase of play. I think also in that, because we play so narrow defensively, the two fullbacks almost double up as centre halves at times, so the space to actually get in and around them is also reduced. So there's always someone covering there if they do press up high and they miss it or whatever. So there is always one or two more to cover. But I think we've also got to look at it. We've had, before the last couple of games, we've had Clare, Edwards, Powell, Broom, or one more in front. But Michael Mansion, the last couple of games, obviously in place of Clare, I think has been really, really crucial. You probably don't notice him a lot on the telly, I don't think, unless you kind of look out for it. And it will probably be more noticeable for the guys that are there at games. But he seems to give that extra bit of kind of protection. Obviously, with his class and experience as well from the past, he seems to know when the right time is to just slot in and cover those two guys. So, he's really, and again, another clever addition to the squad. Obviously, Clare going out and Manson coming in, it's not knocked us at all. It's probably give us another arm to our string to our bow. I play a little bit more, probably compact. Certainly against Peterborough, that's what was needed. And hopefully, against Crewe and Blackpool, we might play a bit more expansive with Clare coming back in. But Manson's been really crucial as well to kind of keeping that defence really tight.
Yeah, and like you said, he kind of anchored in front of the defensive view, a slightly different role to Sean Clare did. We didn't really see Manson kind of, pushing up with the midfield and the front line to kind of, press the opposing centre-backs in the same way Edwards and Clare do. But yeah, he kind of almost, in that sense, gave Edwards a little bit more freedom, I think. I think we saw Edwards a lot further forward in these, previous two games where, Mancienne was there because he knows that Mancienne is always going to be back there. You're always going to have at least, the two centre-backs, the Mancienne in front of them and probably both of the full-backs to kind of, give him cover, kind of, allows a little bit more freedom in the midfield for Ryan Edwards to go and make those, whether it's a pressing run to go and, put pressure on the opposition 10 or the opposition midfield, but also to kind of bring the ball through there as well. And he's looked like a really, really smart signing.
Yes, definitely. The years of experience he's got with obviously Chelsea, Wolves, and Leipzig, I think it was. Someone certainly in the foreign lands, and obviously then in America as well. So, we gambled on his fitness. He's probably took a couple of weeks to find his way, but he's had to wait for his opportunity as well. And obviously, Sean Clare's suspensions timely came right for him. So, with Clare back against the two up and go for the foreseeable, Jimmy's got options available to him. It's not a dilemma. It's good options. I think the games against Crewe and Blackpool will be different. Certainly to Wimbledon on Tuesday night, I think we'll see more open kind of game. Obviously, Crewe play a passing kind of ace football, a bit more like Peterborough probably. And again with Blackpool, I think they'll be a bit more expansive. So it'll be interesting to see if we go to nullify it or we kind of match them and try and play football a bit more ourselves. But options in the squad, which really, really helps, as we've said before. But obviously you can rest players or change his tactics and system accordingly now.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Wimbledon game, and we've kind of alluded to it a few times. So we might as well get onto it. For me, I think it was quite similar to the Bristol Rovers game in the fact that I don't really think either team really got going. It wasn't an end-to-end game by any account of the matter, but when games that I think normally would see a 0-0 draw or even a loss, we kind of found the way to get the goal through the long throw this time. And Michael Bostwick, as we've said, second goal kind of just smashing it, centre back sitting around the area, but a kind of a stuttering performance. I think we saw glimmers of but we got by and we got actually really, really crucial 3 points in the end.
Yeah, again, with getting the 3 unexpected points from Saturday, I think the pressure was off us again. Whereas we knew that the Wimbledon game would be really crucial and a good opportunity to pick up points, but so getting those points on Saturday kind of reduced the tension and the pressure a little bit. But Wimbledon, it was weird. Wimbledon tried to play football, but their passing success rate I thought was really, really poor. I know they outdid us on the possession. You look at the stats, but The number of times that they made unforced errors was unremarkable. I know we've talked about how we've pressed really high, but a lot of the times that Wimbledon lost possession was when they tried to play more football and they just passed it out of play. Simple passes, 5-10 yards. And then when they tried to lump it long, we countered that ourselves and we did really well against it. So obviously I was playing with Michael Fondop up front, a bit more one-dimensional where he holds the ball up and tries to get others into play. Whereas if you play with Kane a little bit more, he'll try and sniff out a chance for himself and not less unselfish. That's probably the wrong term, but he'll try and score himself rather than where Fondop is bringing other people into play. So it was a completely different game to what we've played in recent weeks, but a team again that are scrapping for their lives. So you knew that they were going to try and have a go, keep it tight as such. But obviously, probably saw it as an opportunity where they could pick up points. But when they tried to go long, we dealt with it really well. Because of that, they obviously tried to play the more patient or passing kind of game. But I say that their quality showed that the lack of, because they just gave the ball away too many times without any pressure put on them. Again, probably shows how well we've done. Even though we aren't pressing, we've kept to our organised self and made them try to force it probably a little bit more. But no, I thought it was a really poor performance from Wimbledon, and I think if their passing was a bit better, they may have caused us a few more problems. But the only one shot I think Garrett really probably had any trouble with was in the 92nd minute, I think, where a shot came from 18 yards out through a few players and a little touch could have deflected it in. But Garrett's kept another clean sheet.
Yeah, and one thing that really stood out to me in this Peterborough and Wimbledon game, like I said, I think Wimbledon only had 1 or 2 shots on target. Peterborough had 5, but none of them were really. We're not actually conceding any kind of big chances, if you will. They're kind of, as you said, Wimbledon, I think, had a header that wasn't really, a huge chance, maybe from a set piece. And then they've had a shot from the edge of the area with a couple of minutes of added time to go. Peterborough didn't look like scoring until 95th minute. I mean, you want to make that until the end of the game, obviously, but they kind of, it's good that we don't look like conceding really, and it's amazing. I don't.
Yeah, we're killing the ball, aren't we? Before it gets anywhere towards our 18-yard box, we're trying to nullify it as early as we can. Whereas before, I think we used to wait for the ball to come to us a little bit. And now we're now going to the ball. So obviously, naturally, that's going to mean that the ball's won higher up the pitch, which obviously means less ball time towards our goal. So any chances that teams are getting, they aren't coming at 6, 8, 10 yards out, 12 yards out, where you would expect teams to hit the target or potentially score. They're coming from 18 yards plus, which is a lot harder to score, a lot more bodies to get through. And obviously, again, that the amount of chances we are conceding is a hell of a lot less. So again, credit the fact that we're defending from the front and helping the defenders and Ben Garrett out. And because of the clean sheets and because of all of that, I think his confidence has grown. And the times when he has been called upon, he's done his job effectively. And for me, at the minute, without doubt, he's worthy of that number 1 shirt. And I would have thought for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I kind of can't really see coming into these two games that we've got ahead. Maybe fitness starts to become an issue, but form-wise, our back 4 and goalkeeper have been absolutely exceptional in the past few games, and can't really see there being too many changes. Like I said, maybe 1 or 2 players carrying a knock from playing 2 games in a week or whatever, but generally everyone's been really solid back there. And then, like I said, with that you get the solid defensive base. We've got the midfield pressing, you move forward up the pitch, and we keep on winning.
Yeah, I think because of that winning and obviously the momentum we've got, I think people with little niggles, the niggles won't be as much, if that makes sense, because they won't want to not play. I think if we were still losing every week and picking up hardly any points, those niggles would become more of a problem and people don't want to play. So, it breeds not just confidence, but adrenaline as well. And people want to play and be part of a winning side. So the injuries, will be reduced because people will play through that pain a little bit more probably than when we're losing. So, but it's a fantastic kind of situation to be in that we've got a big squad, and I think a lot of people would have been concerned about that at the time, but we knew that we were going to be in through a tough time with a lot of fixtures coming up, so we needed that kind of protection in all areas, which we've got. But the amount of injuries or suspensions we've picked up is next to nothing almost, and it's good that we're almost able to play a settled side every week, and they're getting through it. I don't think anyone expected the likes of Boswick or probably John Brayford to play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Tuesday. Boswick's obviously played every game, I think, the last couple of weeks, and Johnny B came on, I think it was for Charlton in the second half, and he had that one little rest, but he's managed to manage himself and get through it as well. So players will want to play, and they won't want to not miss out, if that makes sense, at the minute. So it's a great position to be in, and we can still play our strongest 11 as such.
Yeah, and we kind of take this really impressive run of form that we're on, 5 consecutive wins for the first time in our history. First of all, we keep on winning away, and we travel away to Crewe, who are kind of a very mid-table team, if you will. No disrespect to them, but they're 12th in the league. They're 0 goal difference. It's kind of as middle of the road as you can get, but they've had some good results recently. We saw earlier in the season that, and you kind of mentioned it earlier, they play they're a good passing team. They want to try and play some nice football, but hopefully, and I think they're going to be a tough test for us.
Yeah, we keep saying that teams are going to be a tough test, but we still seem to be getting through it. But on the flip note of that, I think Dino has said it on social media a lot. It's certainly something I've tried to advocate as well on everything that I've done. We take one game at a time. The plan, execute the review. Plan, execute review, game to game. So the 2 games have gone. We've reviewed them. I'm sure they've reviewed them. We'll now plan for Crewe as of probably yesterday, Tuesday before even the Wimbledon game. There's probably a little bit of planning going in, but I'm sure that they'll then plan and execute the plans for Saturday. Again, I don't think we need to change a lot. And then obviously after that, we move on to Blackpool, and which will do the same again. I'm sure they'll review the weekend's performance, plan on what they need to do, how they're going to play, what we need to get better at. Obviously a little bit of a less turnaround time, obviously with training and etc. I think there's got to a stage now where the players know what's expected of them. So it's only obviously kind of tweaks to set pieces, who you're going to mark, etc. Obviously will get tweaked. So, but again, I think the Saturday Tuesday is helping us massively at the minute because we can get momentum. The players will keep, want to keep playing. The adrenaline will keep going. The confidence will keep going. And it's not very often that you play 3 away games on the bounce. But after these 3 away games, I believe we've got 3 home games. And you've talked about our form and our 5 wins and on the trot, etc. We've also got to a point where we're turning the Pirelli into a bit of a fortress again as well. So it's a good clump of games coming up this Saturday, Tuesday. And I say we just need to keep going with the momentum. I would not expect a bump in the road somewhere, but we've got points on the board now, and we're away from that relegation zone, so we can just play the team in front of us again without any more pressure than normal, and we just need to keep going with what we're executing at the minute because it's working.
Yeah, and it's been really successful for us, and Crewe, I think the way that they usually look to play and go about their game almost kind of plays into their hands. We saw against Peterborough, who generally were really a good team on the ball, a good kind of passing possession team, and we just kind of forced the errors out of them with the pressing. And I'd imagine that I think you kind of mentioned it earlier. We kind of look to do the same against them and Blackpool, who are generally, I think, slightly more expansive, if you will, slightly more kind of play a little bit more open, a few more risks taken. And actually they're the kind of teams that we would like to kind of pick off. And when that pass gets misplaced to our midfielder, or when we win the ball back high up the pitch, we make sure we punish them.
Yeah, I predict this, and every time I've done this so far, I've been wrong. But I would expect Sean Clare to come back in for Michael Mancini, I think, for these two games. As you've just said, is kind of pick off teams because they're a bit more open. There'll be a lot more gaps, and obviously that's where we can hit them hard on the break. So having that dynamic duo of Clare and Edwards in the middle, with another whoever that may be, kind of in the hole as such, I think we'll hit teams hard. So I think that's the way that we'll probably go, which means we'll probably go the completely opposite way. But yeah, which I think will be harsh on Mancini, but we've got to play the best team for the right situation. As you say, the more expansive game, there's going to be more gaps, and obviously more gaps for us to strike on the break as well. So that's the way I think we'll go. I think it suits us better because of how we press. I don't think, as you saw on Tuesday against Wimbledon, I don't think we kind of like the ball going long as such because teams sit back more. So there's less kind of time for us to press. So I think them teams pressing, they're being possession based. I think we can win the ball higher up, and that's where we're more effective.
And as I said, Blackpool are kind of similar team to Crewe at the minute. They're just one place above them. Blackpool are a really interesting team, I think, when you look at them kind of statistically, because they tend to have, they're, like we said, they consider themselves or we would consider them a kind of a possession team, a passing team, a kind of a team that's good on the ball. But they don't score many. They don't concede many either, obviously. But they are in very, very good form at the moment. And this game, should it go ahead, because we know there's been a few bumps in the road in the previous two times that we've been set to play them. But fingers crossed it goes ahead. And I think this is actually going to be really, I think, you kind of put Crewe and Hull in that kind of upper tier of, they're top of the league when we've played them. But I think Blackpool will be a really big test for us coming off the back of a game against Crewe, who we're going to have to work really hard against. And then we've got to go in, work really hard again. Their confidence is going to be high. They're in a really good run of form. But at the end of the day, this is our kind of one of our games in hand. And as we've said, with how we've kind of picked up points, I don't really think there's too much pressure on this Blackpool game, to be honest. And we'd like to win it, obviously, but it's not going to be the end of the world if we kind of, maybe we get a draw, or if we, if they go and beat us, it won't be, I don't think it'll be a complete disaster. And it's just us kind of getting caught up, I think.
Yeah, we've got that buffer now where we're 4 or 5 points clear of the drop. We have got games in hand, but as I said, games in hand mean nothing. It's points on the board that count. But you're right, with playing away as well, I think there's no kind of pressure to win. Obviously, we want to go out and win, but you look at teams on the other end of the scale. You look to draw away, win at home. If you can do that and pick up 4 points out of 6 all the time, you're going to be in and around the playoffs or certainly the top 2. So if we can continue to do that, then there's no pressure on us whatsoever. But obviously, getting that win against Peterborough as an extra 3 points, I think most people didn't expect us to get. Again, with the Hull game, again with the Charlton game, we've picked up more points than expected. So we have got less pressure on us. But we play each game as it comes. There's still a long, long way to go. There could be lots of twists and turns. If we win every game and the results go right, we could be in the top half by the end of the season. If we lose a couple of games and get stuck in a rut again and teams below us win, we could be still scrapping at the end. So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's just keep going, play game by game. As I say, most important things, don't lose. Keep a clean sheet. You can't lose a game, and that's something that we're really good at the minute. It's keeping clean sheets. So we're going to say they're going to be different opposition to what we've played in the last couple of weeks, but I think it suits us as well. And you say, I think there's a lot of rain forecast in the next week, so who knows what might happen.
And and there's kind of, they're going to be 2 big tests, but if we can keep doing what we've been doing and kind of keep the momentum going, because momentum's a really kind of important thing in football. It can turn very quickly at times within a game, but overall, kind of if you keep that confidence high but not too high, and kind of keep the results just kind of rolling along, is a really important thing, I think, and that's exactly what we've been doing well at the moment. I think there's been a few occasions where you could argue we haven't played brilliantly, and we've got the win, and we've also played really well, and we're also getting the win then. So it's when you're doing that, it's a perfect scenario for you to be in.
Yeah, and as silly as it sounds, it's a sign of a good team. Again, I know I've said things in the past where form only counts really from February onwards, and again, the same bloke that said it for Alex Ferguson. He says if you're winning when you're playing badly, then you're doing something right. It's a sign of a good team. But as you also just said, we've got Dino and Jimmy that are both, I think, high into kind of psychology of players. I think they're doing really well of it at the minute. Obviously, it's been a big change in fortune, but they're keeping the players' feet on the ground and they're making all the right noises. Even in obviously the club Q&A they did week last Thursday. They they're planning, they're executing, they're reviewing, and they're going again on a game by game basis. They're not getting ahead of themselves, and I'm sure that message is also across to the players as well, that they are taking it just a game by game situation. So I think everything mentally we're set up in the right way, and obviously then going into games as well and the way we're playing, we're set up really well. So the pair have done really, really well to turn this round and also get the mentality of the club into a positive spin and an organised kind of structure as well in a good mental place.
Yeah, and now it's just kind of a case, as we said, of just kind of keep it going, keep it kind of slowly, steadily moving along, and we don't really at the moment. I might come back to regret saying this, but at the moment we don't look like a team that's going to go down, which generally is a good sign. But we have to keep the performance levels up if we want to steer ourselves clear. I mean, we've got, I think, a 5-point buffer at the moment. But as we said, and we've said many times, with the games coming so quickly, Saturday, Tuesday, that's a possible 6 points gone, and you could, within a week, you're right back in there. So, it's all about kind of keep going.
So yeah, the momentum's a really important thing. I say they need to ensure that they're keeping their feet on the ground, but we also ensure that we need to not make sure the season goes stale if we get to a place where we are safe. There's a lot of players that are on a short-term contract, and obviously that at the end of the season they're up for renewal. So there'll be a lot of players also fighting for their careers as well. And I think the biggest thing is if and when we do get to a point where we're safe in this league, we carry on the momentum for next year, because I think what we're building could be something really special and a good way to kind of be a good platform for next season. Either way, if we're unfortunate enough where things start to go badly, I think there's enough that we've seen so far that we'll be in a good place if we did go down. But I think the major thing for me is that we are competitive. We're beating teams towards the top. So we need to ensure that we gain momentum and keep that momentum on right to the end of the season, no matter what. Even if we get safety with 4 or 5 games in hand, we keep going. We'll try to finish the highest we can, and that hopefully gives us then a springboard onto next season.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I think, something that we'll really, going to push and look to do. And yeah, like I said, we're going to these 2 games now. I think going to be 2 tough games, 2 good kind of, as we said, expansive kind of relatively attacking sides. What are your score predictions for the Crewe and Blackpool game, Anton?
I'm going with 1-0 against Crewe, and I'm going 2-1 against Blackpool.
Not bad. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go with a 2-1 against Crewe. And I'm not sure if it's accepted at the bookies to bet on a game to be postponed. But I think, maybe, as you said, the rain's been coming down, so Blackpool game might not go ahead. But no, I'll take a 0-0 at Blackpool, I think, because they're a solid team and in good form. And I kind of said the same against Peterborough. It's a good kind of base mark for where we can be at. And if we can keep a clean sheet against either of these teams, then it'll be brilliant for us.
I've said win both games. That's what I think we'll do. But I'd take 2 points out of the 6. It means we've not lost. I'd take 3 points out of 6. But, I'm confident that we're on a good run. I say we've not played probably out to our best the last 2 games. I think there's more to come from us, but we're still gaining momentum, and I think that's a good sign. So I think these 2 teams and the way they play suits us a little bit better. So I certainly think good positive results. Hopefully that's another step towards safety and playing up that league, and hopefully then those few very positive folk that have been found in the last couple of weeks, their bets come in as well. I think I've seen 1,500 to 1 to get promoted, and I think I looked earlier, it was 18 to 1 to finish in the top 12. So I'm not going to waste a fiver myself just because I don't bet, but it's nice to see that people are looking at a positive spin rather than betting against us to go down at the minute. So all good fun.
Yeah, and it's been as I've said, an incredible tournament. Really, I don't think I'm still kind of trying to understand what's actually happened, and it's happened so quickly. I think maybe quicker than I know I definitely first predicted. But now it's all about the momentum and keep getting the performances out of the players, keep getting the results to the team, and you kind of everything goes hand in hand. You start to creep up the league table, and you never know where we might end up.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, as you said, is the speed of everything turned around. But I know we've got 10, 11 new players, but also the existing players are there, the upturning form of them as well. Jim, it'd have been very difficult to do, I think, because going into a dressing room where the likes of Lucas and John Brayford, Garrett, have been around the club, and Edwards have been around the club for a while, obviously under Clough to start with, and then under Jake. So, they've been a lot used to having kind of the same mentality and the same structure for a long time. Then that changing with Jake coming in, but obviously then the upturn in fortune going rapidly downhill, and so the confidence was rock bottom. So for him then to get their mindset correct, to get them to kind of press that restart button, and also then getting all those new players gelled in, I think it's a massive, massive thing, a massive plus. Because I think even though our performances were not great, on paper the squad of players we had was actually quite good. So the fact that Jimmy's got the best out of those players that he has kept on, as well as gelling the team together, it's been a massive, massive achievement. And it's certainly one, I for one, we spoke about it off camera, that if I was picking someone to replace Jake before it happened, it wouldn't have been Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. When he came before, we were on a kind of a crest of a wave. Obviously, we were under Rowett, finishing off the job in League Two, and then obviously then continuing that on in League One. Then in going to QPR, unfortunately, where he failed, that wasn't given time. Obviously, he's a bit higher up in the leagues where his football and mentality may not be right for it. Obviously, then dropped down again with Northampton, and again, can't understand why, but he kind of failed there as well, unfortunately. So him coming back wouldn't have been my first choice, but he's turned my head completely. I was never against him coming back. I was saying he wouldn't have been my first choice, but he certainly proved me wrong. I think it's an absolute masterclass from the chairman again, bringing in somebody he knows, he trusts. And, I think a lot of it's mentality more than probably the coaching element that's changed. And fair play to him. Again, he's obviously had to build a backroom staff up slowly as well, but everybody seems to have bought into how Jimmy wants everything to operate. The chairman's bought into it, backing him as well. I think even if Jimmy wasn't in charge, I think the chairman would have backed Jake in the transfer window in January to turn it round. But obviously, it was one result too far. But no, massive credit to Jimmy, massive credit to Dino, and a massive credit to the old players as well as the new players for turning this round. I say I'm disappointed probably most of all that I didn't get to go on Tuesday against Wimbledon. That was the ground I wanted to tick off. But I just really hope that when we are allowed back in, this massive turnaround, it continues and it propels us for happier times, what we're used to over these last 10, 15 years.
And I hope that the kind of positive atmosphere that's been very quickly that has very quickly arisen will kind of stick around, and I'm sure it'll be a momentous occasion whenever we do get back at the Pirelli, and kind of, it'll be a great day for football, but also for us as a club, especially if we manage to stay up. I think that would be a kind of incredible task that we've achieved. But either way, it's going to be, a great occasion for everyone every football fan, really, whenever that time.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people will have missed football. I know one personally, I've struggled mentally with it, and I think there's a lot of people out there that have as well. But I think it's not I say it's a funny thing. I don't mean it in a nasty way at all. There's a lot of people that have crawling out the woodwork's not the right word either, but it's the only phrase I can kind of think of. There's a lot of fans out there that have reappeared again because of the upturning form. A lot of them will say, "Oh, it's because we never liked Clough, we never liked Buxton, etc., etc." But at the end of the day, you support a football club, and you might not agree everything that happens in your football club, but you just can't turn the switch off and go, "I ain't going to support them because they're not going through a good patch." And I know some people have even said that even though when we were in a good patch, they didn't support what was happening at the start of the football we were playing. But, at the end of the day, we're all fans, we're all entitled to an opinion, but you should still stick with your club, support them through the thick and thin, still try and support them even though you don't agree. Yeah, have your opinion, voice your opinion, but don't take a step back and just disappear and then reappear again when everything's swimmingly. I've got things wrong in the past. I'll admit I'm a massive Clough fan. I don't agree with some of the things that has happened. Don't agree with the reasoning why he left, but I still back him. I still support him. I still support Burton Albion, even though I didn't agree with the appointment to start with. What a fantastic achievement it is. So I've been proven wrong. So I just wish that fans, when we do come back, I hope there is no animosity between anybody. I certainly don't want to get annoyed or have any crosswords with anyone, but I really, really hope that a lot this time away from football ground has made us realise what a fantastic club we've got, not just for ourselves as football supporters, but also as a community club, for how it supports the town. I just hope that everyone gets behind the club, which I don't think everybody has in the past, obviously with their attendances. But I really hope that with the upturning results, with the people missing it, I just hope this positive atmosphere ensures that we get good attendances again, and hopefully that will help the football club get back on its feet and propel to the good fortunes again and continue living this dream that we've got. Because at the end of the day, we are still only little Burton Albion, and we're still batting above our weight big time. And for us to do that, we need to all support it through thick and thin.
Wise words there from a wise man.
Thanks.
Anton, I think that's a good note to leave on. Thank you very much for your for joining me.
Mate.
Yeah, and we'll catch up next week. Two important games. Hopefully, 2 good results coming our way.
2 games closer to being back in the ground, mate. So
exactly. Thank you very much, Anton.
See you, folks.
See you later.